Hello again, whiskey friends. Thanks for joining me today, everybody, for another Tuesday discussion. And today's discussion is going to be about the purple tops. We're going to get into alternatives for the Willet Bourbons, otherwise known as the purple tops. So the question that I was presented with was the fact that these bourbons are so rare and hard to come by. A lot of people haven't even tried them before. They're interested in trying them, interested in getting a sample. How do I find a bottle? So let's take a step back on that and let's go through five alternatives to the Willet Purple Top that are either potentially just as good or maybe more available. And we'll get into the reasons why. So thank you for joining me today, whiskey friends. Let's kick off the show. All right. So once again, what we are talking about is going to be the Willet Purple Tops here. So the Willet bourbons that are in the, family estate label. Now, a quick alternative is going to be the other releases from Willet, be it the Pure Kentucky, the Johnny Drum, the Noah's Mill, the Rowan's Creek. I mean, go try those. Some of those are different blends of the different Willet mash bills. For today's alternative list, I am going to be talking specifically about the mash bill that is 72% corn, 13% rye, and 15% malted barley. That is the one that I lean towards and think of the most when it comes to Willet. Now, with this Willet purple top here, let me give this a little taste here. One thing I like to do when we do these alternative videos is not just give random alternatives, but alternatives that are most likely linked to the flavor profile itself, or in some ways, maybe it is the exact mash bill, just in a different label, and people don't always know that. So, getting a little taste there of that purple top, the thing that's going to stick out to me with this purple top, and one of the distinguishing characteristics of Willet when I get it in a blind is going to be a pronounced cinnamon note. There's just something about cinnamon and Willet that is just always hits me. And then other people talk about a Willet funk. I think that's coming from that 15% malted barley. So you are looking for something with a bit elevated of a malted barley content. Willet typically has this sweet profile as well, which I think is why people feel that it's so inviting. Now, the one that I was just sipping on is a 6-year-old purple top. I have seen them much older, but of course, with age comes nearly prohibitive prices. So that's another reason to go through these alternatives. So the first bottle that I'm going to highlight here is, and the first three are going to kind of fit this theme, labels to look out for that are actually the exact same juice as a Willet Purple Top. It's just sourced and thus it's under a different label. But here's one I have been enjoying for quite some time. This is an Old Kirk, close to 7 years old. And the proof on this one was about 130 proof, too. This one packs a good punch, man. I've been sharing this one away. You can kind of see here, I only got a little bit left. So I'll miss this one when it's gone, but I have had a fun time giving this one to people in blinds. So Old Kirk is one to look out for. Now, the price on this one is relatively high as well at $130 for a 7-year. So I'll give you some cheaper alternatives as we go through, but I did want to highlight the Old Kirk brand. Now, another one that you're just going to have to take it on faith, you're just going to have to take it on rumor, and then eventually the flavor profile if you buy it. But talk to some people. I've highlighted this brand quite a few times when it comes to their single barrels, either in terms of having good MGP, and now I'm going to do the same with Willet. But, you get these rumors sometimes that, hey, this stuff might taste purple. Hint, hint. That's what they're trying to tell you about. They're trying to tell you without telling you. But, I don't know for a fact if the one that I have in my hand from barrel is in fact Willet, but when I taste it, I'm like, hmm, tastes like Willet. I'm going to, trust my nose. I'm going to trust my palate. So keep an eye out for these barrel bourbons. Always check the back. This one says distilled in Kentucky. Why not ask? Where was it distilled? If you can ask the person that was picking it or ask the store owner, do something to try to get some more information. Maybe they can tell you, maybe they can't, but people have all their magical ways of figuring these things out. And heck, even maybe ask the distillery or ask the source here barrel. Hey, what's the mash bill on that? Don't ask them for the source, but mash bills for some reason are completely fair game when it's almost like DNA half the time and you can tell exactly what it is if they give you that combination, but they can't tell you who it's from, but they can tell you the combination. It's kind of a confusing thing. So those single barrels, typically run 90, $100, and that was an 8 year. So a little cheaper than the old Kirk, but you can find what you can find. Now, this one I think is more available, and this is actually my wife's current favorite. For some reason, she always lands on Willet. She always likes the expensive things. And she fell in love with the Willet Ryes for a very long time, fell into some other flavors, some other ryes, and then she's into bourbons. And then the moment that she had this, she fell in love again. And I was like, man, she's back on the dang Willet. But keep an eye out for these. Also, look at the writing. But here we got the Hirsch. This one's a single barrel. Notice it says Kentucky Straight. It also says double oak there. With these, once again, just like the barrel, always turn it around. I just had a recent comment on one of our reviews where I did a single barrel that was distilled in Indiana, clearly said it on the back. And somebody in the comments was like, oh, that's usually Willet. It's like, no, it says distilled in Indiana. I checked the back. But yeah, check the back there, look at the mash bills, and see what's in there. As I said, I am particularly focusing on the mash bill of 72% corn, 13% rye, 15% malted barley for this particular alternatives. 95% of this thing was an 8.5 year mash bill that looks very similar to Willet. And then 5%, that's got another mash bill there, but it is a younger bourbon, but this was also double oaked on top of it. These are very, very good. I've had a good time with these, and thank you for everybody who keeps hooking up my wife because I appreciate it. Happy wife, happy life. All right, let's get into number 4 on the list. Now, this one I am basing it off of flavor profile. So, going back off the top, the Willet has some floral notes. It's going to have cinnamon. It's going to have a bit of a maltiness to it. It's going to have a little funk to it. And a lot of the Willets that I have had or can afford, even if I'm getting a pour at a bar, are typically on the younger side. 6 years, 7 years. Well, why not get something that is older than that and still runs you around $100 and can have a very similar profile, especially depending on the recipe? So, number 4, I think, is a great, some would say even superior alternative to Willet, honestly. That's just where preference comes into play. But heck yeah, man. Let's get into these Four Roses single barrels. So with these, it does just depend on the recipe a little bit. That can change the profile. But I've gotten cinnamon on some Four Roses before, and you get the oak profile. So you may not get that funk from the malt and that malted barley having a higher percentage there per se, but hey, the age can help even that out, brings that base, brings that dark profile to it. So, Four Roses. Hey, maybe I do another video and I say Willet is the alternative to Four Roses if I went that way. But yeah, don't sleep on Four Roses picks. Picks or single barrels. They're awesome. All right. Now I'm going to go into the 5th one. Complete dark horse. Agree to disagree. Let me hear it in the comments. Maybe this is a projection versus where it currently is. Just keep in mind the purple top that I did show at the top of the show was a 6-year bourbon. So what am I going to throw out there as a potential alternative to Willet? They're doing great stuff. Driftless Glen. Man, I'll tell you what. If you get a Driftless Glen single barrel that has the sweetness, it has those sweet flavors. Of course, when I say this, I'm going into the Mash and Journey because he always picks ones that taste like donuts. But I've had them. They have the cinnamon sometimes. They have the floral notes. And then that malted barley brings that funk to it just in the same way as Willet. You can find something that has a comparable profile. And I love putting these things head to head. And I have had people pick the Driftless Glen in that type of flight where I'm putting up, all of these higher malt mash bills. That's what I got in the glass here. The one thing that I have found with the Driftless, the sweetness isn't necessarily always as over the top as it is on the Willet, but fruits. I've gotten a lot more distinct and diverse fruit flavors from various Driftless Glen single barrels than I have from the Willet Purple Tops that I've had. So there you go. And that's going to be the cheapest one on the list as well. I think these typically run, oh man, $65, $70 maybe? I don't think these were ever that expensive. Maybe it gets up to 80, something around there for a Driftless single barrel. Now, I will say with these, know who's picking it, ask some questions, try before you buy. I hear different things about different Driftless Glens. I have 7 open bottles of Driftless Glen over there. They are all fabulous. But I trust the people who are picking them. So there were 5 alternatives for the Willet Purple Top. So if you've not tried the Willet Purple Top before, hey, go out there, find one of the brands that's sourcing from Willet. I highlighted quite a few of those, such as that Hirsch. That's probably the most available one. Get yourself a 4 Roses and be just as happy. Or heck, give Driftless Glen a try. And as Driftless Glen gets older and older stocks, sky's the limit. Maybe we'll be talking about them rather than Willet in the future. Who knows? Well, that gives the 5 alternatives I am going to recommend for the Willet Purple Tops. Let me know what you think of these in the comments. Do you have any others that you would recommend? Give me the thought process as to why, if you are making a recommendation. And if you have any other videos or video ideas that you would like to see in this format, or heck, any question at all, let me know. Get to it as soon as we can. Thank you for joining me today, Whiskey Friends. Catch you on the next one. Goodbye, everybody.
Jeff, just be friends with me. But you have these whiskey friends, and you say hello again. Oh, Jeffrey, you.